So I took this as an opportunity to wear my tiara. So let's do this. Hi guys, I'm Libby and welcome to Punsy's Palace, where I do all things Disney, hence the Punsy, and all things regarding my life and home, hence my palace. So if you haven't already, hit subscribe down below for more Disney and lifestyle content. Alright guys, so it's January, which means it's a new year, new changes, and New Year's resolutions, but we're not going to do any of my New Year's resolutions today because I don't really want to talk about them. I talked about them in my January bullet journal video, which you can look at above, but I feel like it's a little boring to talk about my New Year's resolutions because they're not that exciting and fun and creative, but I still wanted to do something, so let's talk about the princesses' New Year's resolutions. So for all of these New Year's resolutions for the princesses, they are all going to be taking place after their movie has ended, so not anywhere in the middle of their movie or anything like that. It's at the end of their movie, and also it doesn't take into account any of the sequels that some of these princesses have. It's just end of their first movie. So first we have Snow White. Her New Year's resolution is to make time for self-care. Yes, upon marrying Florian, which is her prince's name, and moving into his castle, she realizes that although she loves the dwarfs very dearly, she was so consumed with cooking and cleaning and working to make their lives easier that she didn't have enough time for Snow. Snow as in herself, not Snow. So her new goal for this year is to take time for herself, to work through some of her issues with trusting strangers and how her stepmother wanted her dead for being pretty. There's a lot of growth and self-reflection and self-care in Snow White's future this year. Plus, I think she would absolutely love some face masks and bath bombs. Next is Cinderella. So Cinderella's New Year's resolution is to make new friends. So upon marrying Cinderella, Prince Charming realized that although Cinderella is very sweet and very kind, all of her friends are animals, like mice and birds. So Cinderella is taking it upon herself this new year to make some new friends within the kingdom who are people. But she sees this as a fresh new start and a great way to network throughout the kingdom to become the greatest queen she can be with Prince Charming. Next up we have Aurora. So Aurora's New Year's resolution is to start a dream journal. So she has spent so much time sleeping, so much time in her movie sleeping that she only had 17 or 18 lines, I can never remember which one, but she now finds it as a favorite pastime of hers to not only sleep and nap whenever she can, but also to really get into what her dreams might mean and to see if there's any other foreboding fairies who may be wishing bad fortune on her and Prince Philip. She's really gotten into the dream sequencing and analyzing all of her dreams and starting a dream journal just for fun. Next princess we have is Ariel. Ariel's New Year's resolution is to prioritize eco-friendly choices in Eric's kingdom. So upon joining the human world, she sees that Sebastian was absolutely right. The human world is a mess. So she has a new goal of trying to help Eric implement some new eco-friendly choices that don't completely damage the ocean and destroy it and all of her old friends and family, as well as trying to be friendlier with the natural world that's around them and trying to reduce that waste and try to keep the ocean as clean as we possibly can. I think Ariel can do it. I think she is going to be a great leader in this eco-friendly year that she's gonna have. Next up we have Belle, and Belle's New Year's resolution is to start a new hobby. So Belle's resolution pretty much every year before this is to read more books than she did the year prior. But with her entire world turning upside down and changing, going through an exotic adventure of her own instead of just reading about it, and marrying a beast prince, she thought she needed to change it up a little bit too. So she decides that she is going to find and try to start a new hobby, and the beast is very eager to help her and tries to help her discover new possibilities all the time. But it seems like a fun new thing to do, and of course she's going to probably read more books than she did last year, but she's also wanting to start a new hobby. And next we have Jasmine, whose New Year's resolution is to do random acts of kindness. So after being cooped up in the castle again and marrying Aladdin, Jasmine has had more time to reflect on her journey of when she did leave the castle. She realizes that the kingdom is definitely suffering a lot from the monarchy, and that there's little that she can do without upsetting the entire government system that they have set up anyway. She decides to instead work more for charity and doing random acts of kindness for the people of Agrabah. Whether this is giving starving kids some fresh new apples for free or helping a shopkeeper buy and promote their product, she's going to help Agrabah as much as she can with generous acts of kindness and charity. Next we have Pocahontas. Pocahontas' New Year's resolution is to find her roots. Pocahontas has often been told that she's like the wind, like her mother was. She goes where the wind takes her, leaving her to be flighty and flowing, but she realizes this does make her make some rash decisions where she did have a white man kill one of her own. So she realizes that while the courage that she did have did help save a man's life, it could have easily ended her own, and it did easily end another. So she works to find her roots and reconnect more with nature this year, as well as with her old friends like Nakoma, who she completely ditches for most of the movie, and her people who she will one day have to rule and she barely interacts with in her movie as well. She decides that while she can still run with the wind, she needs to know how to be at peace with being grounded. Next we have Mulan, whose New Year's resolution is to work on familial relationships. After saving China, there's not much that Mulan can do to really impress the world beyond that, but when she did leave her family to save them, that didn't mean that the problems with their communication and expectations of each other completely went away. So this year she's going to try to work on communicating with her family better, strengthening their relations without anyone really getting too angry or upset or abandoning their family and going off to war again. She works on communicating with Shang too, because he tends to bottle things up a lot and leave too much unsaid and completely didn't talk about how he was attracted to her when she was a guy. Next we have Tiana, and Tiana's New Year's resolution is to integrate meal planning into her daily life. Tiana's dreams have mostly come true. She is with an amazing man, Naveen. She has started her restaurant and it's going wonderfully. A lot of Tiana's dreams have already come true, but she wants to keep growing and making herself better. That's what New Year's resolutions are all about. So with her hard work for saving up for her restaurant and finally paying it off, she is busier than ever. So she decides to step up her cooking game and her logical thinking skills by finding new and creative ways to meal prep for the week for her and Naveen, who are working constantly on keeping her restaurant running. And this way they have time together outside of cooking where they can maybe dance a little bit more together, but also just enjoy the time with each other. Next we have Rapunzel, and her New Year's resolution is to travel and see the world. While Rapunzel is definitely grateful that she has her parents back and she's the princess of a wonderful kingdom and she doesn't have her abusive old mother Gothel around anymore, and she has Eugene, she still has this itch to see more of the world. She's been locked up in her tower for 18 years, and while she did have a grand adventure with Eugene, there is still so much more of the world outside of Corona that she is yet to see. Being in her tower for that long, she definitely read about a lot of far-off places in all of her books, and she would love to go and see that in person. And Eugene, of course, is a great travel companion, and Pascal also tags along because he is extremely transportable. The next princess is Merida, whose New Year's resolution is to admit when she's wrong. So she had a pretty frightful journey with losing her mother and working hard to get her back and dealing with a lot of bears. And Merida has seen that while she is stubborn in her opinions, she is not always right. And the same goes for her mother, but with this bear-filled journey, Merida has realized that it's better to compromise than to just point at who's right and who's wrong. And maybe it's time to also learn that when you are wrong, it's a chance for you to learn from those mistakes and move forward. And for someone as stubborn as she is, it is a difficult task, but she's willing to work on it this year. And our last princess we have is Moana, whose New Year's resolution is to be more spiritual. With the passing of her grandmother and the journey that she went on with Maui to battle the old gods, she realizes that the stories that her grandmother told were a lot more than just stories and myths. They're real, and she came face to face with a lot of them, and they can be pretty dangerous. And to help her become a better leader for her people, she realizes she needs to get more in touch with this more spiritual side that she's just started to open up to. It is what can help her learn more about the world as well as about herself, and it can also help her people if they are in dire need of saving again. Alright guys, those are all of the New Year's resolutions for the princesses. What did you think? I thought it was pretty entertaining to think up what would their New Year's resolutions be. Maybe I'll do this next year for the princes or something like that. So let me know down in the comments below, what are your New Year's resolutions, or what do you think would be a good New Year's resolution for your favorite Disney character? I already did mine, it was Rapunzel. Just go back in the video and you'll see what I thought. And if you like this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up. And until next time guys, farewell.